The protagonist is driving home late in the night along a poorly lit and very lonely road. The atmosphere is silent except for the hum of the car engine. Sometimes the light from the headlights helps illuminate the way. As he drives, the protagonist begins to feel that the road looks unfamiliar. There are no street signs. There are no recognizable landmarks. The road seems to stretch into infinity with no end in sight. The main character looked in the rearview mirror to find ghostly figures just standing in the middle of the road behind them. Those figures were very vague, barely visible, but their presence was unmistakable and unnerving. As they drive further, the road starts to constrict and curve. Trees close in on both sides. The feeling is bad, really bad. It feels as if it is leading into something sinister. He feels a creeping sense of unease, that somehow something's inside him, fighting for control of his body. His hands tremble over the steering wheel as he hears the low whisper in his ears, telling him to let go. The ghosts now became more vivid and appeared closer to the car. More voices were heard, begging and threatening the protagonist. Car electronics start behaving strangely while the radio turns itself on, piping weird, distorted music. The protagonist progressively loses control of the car and his own mind. The road becomes more and more distorted, having sharp turns and sudden drops. Now the ghostly figures are inside the car and whisper to mock them. Desperate, he tries to fight back against possession by reciting prayers or mantras which pop into his head. The ghostly figures react with violence at this, and the car shakes with a much more chaotic environment outside. The protagonist comes face to face with his possessing entity. Ghostly figures close in on him, showing that some really dark, strong force is trying to consume him totally. The lead character has to summon the last available strength to struggle against the influence. At the end of the story, either the main character finally breaks free of the possession and finds himself on some sort of road he knows, the same one that had originally led him into these woods, or he becomes a victim of this dark force, and for him, the road never ends, sucked into endless night.